How's the White House seeing all of this?
Yeah, Jose. Well, I have to say, Ryan's assessment of where these three nominees stand, I believe, is spot on at the moment. And I do know that the White House firmly believes that they're going to be able to get, at the end of the day, these three people through, especially Kash Patel seems like he's on the glide path at the moment. And behind closed doors, we know that both teams of RFK and Tulsi Gabbard have been in constant contact with these lawmakers, the ones especially who have expressed public skepticism. People like the senator from Utah, John Curtis, Bill Cassidy, and Todd Young. The Curtis and Young having expressed issues with some of Tulsi Gabbard's positions. But from the White House and the Trump transition and Trump campaign's view, RFK and Tulsi Gabbard are key components of this operation. There is a feeling that they really delivered the election victory for Donald Trump by bringing together some disparate constituencies as a result of their very different and more progressive backgrounds than the traditional MAGA base. But obviously, you're seeing more traditional conservative movement conservatives struggling with some of their past positions. But again, we've been told as of this morning that the people who are involved with handling and fielding and getting these confirmations through are in constant contact with these offices. And just like the way they handled this with Pete Hegseth, they're hoping that privately they can make some amends and come to a consensus and some agreement on various issues that have been raised.
You know, Jackie, when you talk about the different groups, I guess, or subgroups that are each one kind of behind or with each one of these prospective nominees, it seems as though, and I want to know your thoughts on it, the RFK Jr. group is much more deep benched and broad than is the Gabbard group.
I think that's right. I think there is a little bit of overlap at the end of the day on their two shared constituencies. But I think you're probably right, Jose. I mean, the Make America Healthy Again movement picked up a lot of steam, and it also works to his benefit that he actually was in the race this time around, which Gabbard was not. She was obviously on the campaign trail and out there in a pretty vocal voice. But Kennedy has been working his constituency through his anti-vaccination activism efforts for decades now. This is a pool of followers that he's accumulated and built over quite a period of time. And so I think that these anti-vaccine views, this is why you're seeing lawmakers take them so seriously. People like Bill Cassidy, who did not mince words, saying that he's really been struggling with his nomination. So, like Ryan said, we're going to see over the weekend when he comes back to this, and maybe after some private conversations with RFK Jr.
So, Brendan, I mean, clearly Cassidy's role going forward, especially in the next 48 or 72 hours, is critical for RFK Jr. But what do you see as the major obstacles to both Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. when it seems as though Kash Patel is essentially probably going to get in?
Yeah, well, when it comes to RFK, Cassidy is absolutely the game changer. Let's keep in mind that Cassidy is up for re-election. He has to win a primary if he wants to stick around, if he wants to run again, frankly. And he doesn't have a whole lot of room at this point to make enemies with the Trump base. This is a guy who voted to impeach Donald Trump, and now he wants to get reelected in a Republican primary. Louisiana used to have rules where they had what you would call a jungle primary, where you could rely on independents and Democrats to get through. Louisiana Republicans got rid of that. So it would be no small thing for Cassidy to vote against one of the highest profile Trump nominees. And if he does vote against him, whether it's in committee or on the floor, I think that might seal his fate. It's not hard to see Mitch McConnell coming along with him, obviously, who has strong views on vaccines as a polio survivor himself. So that's really, I think, just as all eyes were on Joni Ernst when it came to Pete Hegseth, all eyes are on Cassidy. Tulsi Gabbard's got a much steeper road, I think. She has no real goodwill built up. She was a longtime Democrat. Most of the members of that Intelligence Committee are pretty hawkish on these issues and She painted a very different approach to them going forward. So I don't think there's anybody who feels like they pay a real big price. Nobody really wants to vote against a Trump nominee, but if you're going to pick one where you're not paying a huge price, it's probably Gabbard, and would not surprise me if there's several of them who don't think that she's right for this role.
Senator, how are you seeing it? What set of eyes are you looking at this from?
At first, I want to say something about Bill Cassidy. Bill Cassidy was a doctor who spent a lot of time with people in his state who were underprivileged. He's a principled man. He is a good man. I think that when you kind of put everything in a political lens, it's really unfair to someone like Bill. And so what I'm struck by, because I watch these, is all of them really have memory problems. When you go through and people say, I didn't say that, or why are you bringing that up? I mean, I think in a real world where we aren't in lockstep, where there isn't a mega kind of destination for all of these candidates where you're either with them or against them, these people would probably not have been even nominated, much less be in this spot. And so it's a matter of whether you're going to see some Republicans kind of grow a spine and say, it's a bridge too far. I want to say this about Kennedy because I think it's important. Kennedy is pro-choice. He has engaged in litigation, which the Wall Street Journal pointed out is not exactly kind of the way forward to win the hearts and minds of conservatives. And I think when you look at his record on big pharma and big farms is just really not something that conservatives like. And so there may be a bigger hurdle for him than what you guys have been talking about.